Good afternoon, everyone. Today, I'd like to just take a few moments of your time to talk about an issue regarding Facebook that you might not have heard about. In May of this year, Facebook was accused of manipulating their news feed. The company was believed to be slanting the feed towards Democratic stories and pushing down conservative stories. The company denied any wrongdoing and invited members of the conservative media to Facebook headquarters to explain the issue. The issue occurred due to human error in which actual people, not an algorithm, was determining what news actually went into the trending news section on the site. So, did the company handle the allegations correctly? Well, we're going to walk through a crisis communication plan and determine what might be important to the company and see if they handled it correctly. First, we need to identify vulnerabilities that might show up for a unique organization such as Facebook. Obviously, what we were just talking about, showing a bias on any matter on a social platform is strongly frowned upon. Second, Facebook.com crashing. If you cannot get to the site, millions upon millions of people per minute are going to be unhappy with you. Next, the company being hacked by outside groups. People rely on Facebook being protected. If a company were able to hack the site, it would be incredibly harmful to Facebook's reputation. And lastly, security issues regarding people's personal data. People store tons of information in Facebook. Pictures, messages, conversations with people. It's important that they stay private. If there was a leak in this information, people would not trust the site anymore. Next, we need to look at the types of crisis. We can break these down into two categories: technical errors and human errors. A technical error would be the site being brought down by massive amounts of usage across the world, or a virus getting into the system rendering it useless. Human error would be something like the newsfeed scandal, or an employee accidentally taking part in a phishing scheme, which gives hackers the username and password needed to get to proprietary information in the system. Or stolen data from personal accounts taken by hackers or employees of Facebook. So if one of these crises were to occur, the company would need to put into place a proper crisis management team. Now, not only are these people important, but the members of their teams are important to remedying a situation. First, let's start with the Chief Executive Officer, Mark Zuckerberg. Zuck is going to oversee everything and put the company on the track that he feels is right moving forward in a crisis. The Chief Financial Officer is going to determine how the crisis is going to affect the company monetarily and what fixes will either help the stock or hurt the stock moving forward. The Chief Technology Officer will then look at the problem, come to the table and tell you what the problem actually was and how he believes it can be fixed. The Vice President of Engineering will actually be in charge of fixing the problem and putting together the teams needed to find and fix these problems. The legal counsel will give you the legal ramifications of the crisis and what you can and can't do legally moving forward. The Vice President of Marketing and Public Relations will handle the media and any statements made by the company moving forward. Next, we need to look at the spokesman and dealing with the media. Facebook is in a unique situation. Mark Zuckerberg is really seen as a type of Steve Jobs type figure. While everyone should be ready to speak, a lot of the responsibility relies on Zuck to get the message across. He's seen as the face of the company, and more often than not, he handles a lot of their outreaches to the media. But he can't handle everything. And his PR and marketing teams need to be ready and understand the facts of the situation and be able to think on their feet. They must also have practiced the questions and have answers ready to go. This will signify confidence to the media and the stockholders, as well as the general public. Lastly, they really need to refrain from using ahs and ums, as this is just poor speaking. Next, we're going to look at developing a crisis management plan. There are 13 steps to this, and we are going to look at each one of them. First, the confidentiality statement. The team needs to understand and sign a confidentiality agreement, knowing what is discussed can be very personal information to the company that cannot be repeated outside the office for fear of information being leaked or false rumors being started. Next, you have to establish rehearsal dates. With a company as large as Facebook, any number of problems have the potential of occurring, which is why the PR and marketing teams should be prepared for this by practicing such scenarios. Think of it like the military doing drills. It allows you to get out and stretch your muscles, as well as know exactly what to do when the real scenario occurs. Next, Zuckerberg needs to make an introduction, and the CEO should explain to all the employees why this plan is important and how it's going to be enacted by the company moving forward. Not only does this explain the various teams why such a plan is necessary, but throws the weight of the CEO behind the initiative. Next, we need to look at employee acknowledgement. Once the introduction by the CEO is made and the plan has been read by the teams, the employees should have to sign a paper indicating they acknowledge the plan and will not break any of the rules laid down by it. Fifth, you need to build a contact list. This needs to be created by the PR and marketing teams and indicate all the people that are needed in an emergency. The faster you can get a hold of everyone and get them together, the less damage can occur to the company. This could be the difference between losing millions and losing billions. Sixth, you need an incident report. An incident report is crucial in recording and understanding the crisis. It records where the crisis occurred and who was working on it when, and what steps were taken afterwards. Not only is it important to see the steps that you've already taken, but if they fail, you know exactly what not to do going forward. Seventh, a CMT strategic form. This reminds everyone how the team plans to handle the crisis and what has already been done in managing it. Eighth, a stakeholder contact list. This is a list of the large investors in the company who deserve a direct call from the company in order to explain the situation and how they are going to fix the problem in order to protect the stakeholders. In the case of Facebook, these investors would be the legendary Peter Thiel, Li Ka-shing, and surprisingly Microsoft. Secondary contact lists would be made up of, you guessed it, secondary investors, employees, and important tech sites such as The Verge, TechCrunch, Wired, and The Wall Street Journal. These are just courtesy calls to ensure the employees of the situation and to allow the major tech sites a head start in publishing their story and to make sure they understand it exactly from the horse's mouth. 10th, a cohesive external communication. No matter how crazy everything gets internally and how much people are disagreeing, it is critical to express one unified message to the outside world to show unity within the company. 11th, proprietary information needs to be kept secret unless absolutely necessary to disclose to the public. The information could contain user data and needs to be protected unless legally demanded by the courts. 12th, technical jargon. Silicon Valley is famous for using big words that a lot of people don't understand. You need to make it able to be understood by anyone without them having to go to their 13-year-old granddaughter to ask them what the company meant. Lastly, locate a crisis command center. This is a place where everyone knows to meet in case of an emergency, and once again will save your team time moving forward. Finally, once the dust is settled, review the crisis. See how your CMT strategy worked. Assess your strengths and weaknesses of the plan and course correct where necessary. You can even take feedback from the community on Facebook since you own a social media company. Using the company's own diagnostic tools to determine what people thought of the situation and how you handled it could be critical and tools that few companies have, so take advantage of them. I hope this was informative, and I'd just like to thank everyone who was in this program and wish everyone good luck moving forward. I'll see you at graduation.